I work for Tourism East Africa, and part of what we do on a day-to-day is collect evidence. And Dr. Sierra here will be telling us if this is what we are feeling per ground, what are the statistics showing? So to just dive into that conversation, I will invite Dr. Sierra to come and take about 5 minutes, tell us what the data is talking about, tell us what the situation is in terms of the figures before we dive into the next section. But please stay on because we're looking at the situation currently. Alafu baadaye tutaangalia in the future, what does that youth participation look like? So be certain to stay with us from beginning to the end because it's only going to get better, okay? But please remember, this conversation is not just happening here, it's also happening on social media. So go on to Twaweza Kenya, to CMD, to PDF, continue tweeting and posting and tagging so that this conversation happens beyond this, all right? Sawa. So Dr. Sierra.
Waniambia watu wangapi walipiga kura kama mimi last general election. Nitakujua tu by show of hands. Ili daktari akikuja na numbers nijue nani ni nani. Aya. So tunasema we were the majority who
we were counted. Tulikuwa ndani.
We were counted. Yes. Aya, daktari utatupa.
Okay.
Habari zenyu. Naona kama mmendanganya kwa sababu nimeona over if there were 10 people ni kama wasaba ambao wameinua mikono. True or false? But the data, we did a survey last year, even before the election. Nani wameprepare, nani hawajachukua kadi, nini na nini. And we were quite disappointed. And we had a very deep conversation na IBC. What should we do? Kwa sababu tunasema Kenya ni yetu kesho. Because if you are not willing to engage now, nani wengine tutawarushia hii mambo? Because from what I'm seeing here, on average, kwa watu wote, 71% or 7 out of 10 of wananchi walisema kwamba watavote. Lakini among the youths, just 56%. Now, I don't understand, and I think these are some of the issues that we have to discuss to get to understand. Why? Is it that we don't have people there? Because some people claim kwamba, hawa watu wote ni wazee. I remember there was this joke when, sorry, allow me to say this, when Mudu Awori was elected, Ama was picked as the running mate. Si walisema ni youth. By then he was over 70. So these are some of the reasons that have been given, as in waraise kwamba, youth wanafikiri kwamba, hapana, we are not included into the system. So why should I go and vote? Because we also tried to ask, kwa nini youths hata wananchi wa kawaida where they're not willing to participate? Because vote apathy ni kubwa sana, and I think we have someone from IBC na pengine anakuja aweze kutuambia from their end what do they think, because I remember when we did the survey we had to sit down tukawauliza tutafanya nini. So one of the issue they took up is to package the message such that tunaweza kuwa targeted. Ni kweli? And I think something happened. So ni vizuri tuweze kujua kwa nini vijana wanajisikia kwamba wataki kuparticipate, because from the survey found like 3/4 or 6 out of 67% or 2 out of 3 wanasema voting changes nothing. Who for that opinion? Tuna elect mtu fulani, we have a lot of expectation but we end up being discouraged ama disappointed. Maybe that's one of the main reason. Wengine wanasema the voting centers are quite far. Ni kweli? I think that's not applicable in Nairobi. Maybe kwa watu wazee kabisa. Maybe it's not for this age group. Yeah, another thing that seems to be relevant in this forum, they don't like the candidate who are participating ama who are on the ballot list. Na wengine wanaendelea. And I think basically that's something that we need to dig deeper to understand kwa nini. Now, ebu nimuulize, now if IBC want to reach out to you, which ni TV, radio ama nini mungependa wamfikie haraka? Because it's something that we need to understand such that in future to promote participation, kwa sababu tusipo participate ni kama tumeparticipate ama ni kweli ama si uongo. Kwa sababu we are going to side with the opponent na atashinda na tutakuwa kila siku tuna complain. So these are some of the issues that we need to understand, kama ni TV ama ni radio ama ni TikTok, ama Facebook, ama ni vizuri tuweze kuunderstand haya maneno, kwa sababu probably the people who are there in the leadership are at the top there. Watu ni wakati ule wa kuandika kwa nation, anaandika na nini kubwa, anasema so and so participate. So haya mambo ni mambo mengine. Sasa swali nyingine nauliza, what do you understand by participation? Ni kukuuliza tu. Taking part. Okay, anasema ni kutake part. Mwingine, kwa sababu tuliuliza watu huko vijijini, wakasema ni kuattend chief baraza na mambo kama hayo. Hao kweli wanarada kweli? No, okay, yeah, I see participation. Lakini it's varying from one region to another. Maybe among the youths, anaona kwamba probably like the DP akiweka kitu pale alafu unaanza kuchangia kwa TikTok, kwa Twitter, that's also participation. Ama ni kweli? But probably if you can have a channel whereby our voice can be heard, maybe hiyo inaweza saidia. Ni kweli? So you are going to explore and understand. Mambo ya devolution mnaionaje nayo? See, it's also something that we need to understand. Walisema kwamba they brought the government closer to wananchi, lakini sioni kama imefikia vijana. Mimi hata nilikuwa nasema si kuna hii women representative. So I think the government need to also to have another position ya youth representative. Ama mnaonaje? Itakuwa imebamba hiyo kweli? Pengine these are things that we need to put forward. We package it and then we go present. And probably we can have one or two people sit down and then we can engage with them. Allow me not to take a lot of time because you're also going to think about how the future is. We carried another study on like how will Kenya be in 2050. By then sisi tutakuwa kama nani? Tutakuwa kama Mudiawuri. So, and we are the ones to decide how things will be in 2050. Sasa kama tuta participate saa hizi, do you think Kenya, now I want us to do some simulation. Maybe mimi kwa sababu tumefanya mahesabu tuna understand. Ebu simulate. Now, if voter apathy kama saa hizi iko almost 40%. Now make a projection. How will it be in another 50 years? Si tutakuwa kama 22, 21 kama hiyo. Do you think hiyo itakuwa vizuri? Maybe tutakuwa tukifanya campaign unakuta watu wazee wananini hapa na vijana wako huko wanaenda. Si ni kweli? So I think the way, if we participate now, if we initiate or show the interest now, I believe we'll be able to shape how the future will be and will not be left out. So allow me to invite Melania so that we can be able to continue the conversation.
It's a mini Melania, Sarah Mwangi here. So thank you so much, Dr. Sierra, for that presentation. But allow me to engage a little bit with what Dr. Sierra says. Anasema, some of us do not engage in elections. For example, if the elections were to be held today, oh no, let's say next year. If the elections were to be held next year, 2025, how many of us would vote, would go to vote? Let me see by a show of hand. Of course, with your reason, kuna candidates, kuna everything is set, and you've been told it is a day for election. Will we be counted as people who vote, or shall we sit back and just do nothing for that day? How many of us, let me see once again by a show of hand. All right. Thank you for that. The rest of us who have not put our hands down, I hope by the end of this conversation, we'll be able to convince you that it's very important for you to come out and vote, because even if you don't vote, you're actually making a decision, isn't it? Yeah, so let's get to that. But let me also ask, part of what we're discussing today is also on public participation. And very unfortunately so, the statistics show that we as the young people below 35 are not, going to these meetings when they are called by the county governments. Let me see once again, how many of us have been called to a public participation meeting by your county governor or county government officials and you have showed up? Okay? Let me see. I'd like to hear from one of us who's not been part of any public participation meeting. Let me see once again how many of us have been to public participation meetings. Can I see that? I'd like to hear from you. Why haven't you? Tell me, please.
First, because
Tell us your name, please.
Sorry, my name is Magoma Egidia. I think I've never been to one because I tend to think that whether you go or not, there's not much impact you can make because you're idea or whatever you bring to the table is not written, it's not reported, it's not worked on.
Okay. She doesn't think that if she goes, whatever she says will be taken and considered. All right? So how many of us, who would like to give us an opinion as to why it's important and why you have been to a public participation meeting? All right? And as a young person, please tell us why you find it valuable to be part of that meeting.
Hi everyone, my name is Lynn Karanja from Bunge Mashinani School of Governance. The reason why I attend public participation, I'm a believer of change, and change starts with me.
Asante sana. Nani mwingine?
I think inatusaidia sana sana kwa mtaa ku come up na bills zenye zinaweza govern hii nchi. So ni kupeana maoni then irudi kwa bunge. Yeah.
That's very important. Thank you so much. And as we look around, and even as statistics would show, more than 70% of the Kenyan population is composed by the people below 34. That's a huge population, Sindio? And yet we are not engaging. There's a problem there. Meaning that if we don't think about this problem as it is currently, it will come and haunt us in the future. Sindio? So to start thinking about the future and what that looks like, I would like to invite my colleague Philbert, who will help us to see and to start thinking about, if we don't participate today, what does that look like for the next election, for example, or for the next 10 years from now, in terms of governance and democracy. So Philbert, are you ready? Take us through. Tell us what that future looks like if we don't continue to participate as young people.
Hello. Yes. Tumesikiza data. I'm not a very big fan of numbers because I am an angry youth person. So sometimes I feel that anger comes out a lot, but today that anger we channel it to finding solutions, right? So I've had things about elections, and so when is our next election? So it is a future, right? And so have you been planning about it? Are you thinking about it? Iko mbali? Ama hata uifikiri? All right. Anyway, one of the most important things we know as humans is that change will always happen, right? And so part of it is huwa tunafanya plans, unajipanga. If you want to get married, you start getting to that position of the person you want to be with, that kind of thing, or the person you want to be, right? And so part of planning for the future is how do you plan for the future? Do you know what will happen tomorrow? What will happen tomorrow? Anyone? No idea? And that's important because the future is not determined. If there is no expert for the future, no one will come and tell you, I am sure 100% tomorrow will have rain. It might not rain, right? And so I'm trying to find a place. So anyway, 2050. Let me push it a bit further for us to have time to plan for it. And God, sometimes I forget some of the things. Let me check some points.
Well, but as that comes to mind,
Yes.
can I start arranging us into groups? Because I know you'll require us to sit in groups, right?
Yes.
To start thinking about these things.
Yeah.
So as you think about that, yeah, or are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yes. I want to ask even the part of planning. I will go randomly and ask you what the plans you have for the future. Just share one, or pick up a big idea of the future and what you want to see it into. Because part of the thinking about futures is looking at the back, at the past, and then seeing how much change has happened. I'll give you an example of communication. All of us have smartphones right now, but that tool is not that old. When was the first smartphone made?
No idea.
You have no idea? Anyone with an idea? No, not Kenya. Kenya. Do you have a smartphone for Kenya? Kunayo? Inaitwaje? Tunatengeneza ama tuna import? So yeah, we just assemble those parts, right? Looking back at how people started, like arguing. You know, if you are together, you can argue, right? What happens if that person is away from you? You have to wait for that person to come back. This is going back further, for you to argue person to person. That is in the BC when there were no other communication tools. Then came the telegram. Sending mails became the main communication tool for people to communicate. Imagine umekasirikia mtu and then he is like 100 kilometers. How do you argue? Send a letter, takes 3 months. By the time inarudi si umesha tulia. You are no longer angry. Then came telephones. From telephones, we have now messaging. Then we had video calling. And part of this is bringing, you can see the change starts very slowly. There's small changes. Then along the way, you get changes really accumulating together. And part of what I want you guys to think is as you look at that back and see the changes in terms of even technology now, they are really fast moving. We had AI last year, the tools coming in January. Now, who doesn't use AI tools here? What ChatGPT? Because if you think about it, even a few years before ChatGPT, the kind of tools we had, generative tools we had, they were not that great, okay? And so now leave the past. Let's come to the future. Biases in terms of how you think about the future. If I ask you about a president, as we are being told, not many would think of women. Or if you do, you are looking, ay, wa Kenya, tuchague mama. Wewe utachagua mama?
Naweza.
Mbona umeshai vote? Who has voted before? Okay. Have you voted for a woman?
Yes, I have.
For the presidency?
No, I have not.
Why?
I did not find any candidate that was viable enough. Can you hear me? Yeah, so I'm saying I've never voted for a woman president because I never found one that I would think viable enough to elect.
Thank you. I will introduce 3 types of futures. Probable futures. Probable are the ones you look at what we have, and then you try to project, okay? And then we have desirable futures. And that is part of really what we want to engage today. In terms of youth participation, you hear we are not participating as much. And there are reasons for those. But we do want better participation and representation of young people, even in governance structures, okay? And then we have reframed futures. These ones you go crazy, okay? Think of something that your brain cannot wrap around. If today we didn't have a government, how would we run? Anyone with an idea? Can I poke your mind a bit? How would the society run if we didn't have government?
It can't.
It can't.
Yeah.
You hear what he has said? We can't have a society without government. What about you?
I think we will have a perfect society.
Why? Why do you think? Just throwing it. Why would it be perfect?
Myself, from my background, I'm an anarchist. And as anarchists, we are anti-state, anti-hierarchy, anti-government. Yeah.
All right. And you see, those 2 things are okay, right? It's okay to think of that kind of future. And so I want to divide you into like groups, all right? And we are looking at the future of youth public participation. Sawa sawa? So I was to use a board, but I will just stand here. Think of this space as 4 squares divided at the middle, okay? And so I will expect people to move a bit. And so for this line that goes from this side all the way in the middle, it's about whether you think the future of youth public or youth participation in governance will get better or worse, all right? So if you're on this side, along this line, you think that it is going to get better. But if you think it is getting worse, be on this side. What? Let's stand up. It is an engagement. We will stand for like 1 minute.
Repeat the instructions. I'll be the border.
Yes.
Or some people can come to me.
Yeah, we have this space. If you are on this side, half of the side, you believe that the future is getting better. For youth participation, you see it, youth participating more, you engaging in electoral processes, we be on this side. And those who don't think it will get any better, please come on this side.
So this is better future?
No, this is the better. This half, you are better. On this half, you think, nah,
they will not get.
not going to
you
work.
represent the better future.
Yes, I'm
and
on
I
the better
represent
future.
the not very good future.
Yes, this is the better
so
future.
those of us who feel the future is getting worse, please come to me.
Yes.
Those who feel that the future will get better, please go to Philbert.
Yes.
Yes. The future in terms of youth participation, how is the future looking like? If you feel it's getting better, go to this side. If you feel it's getting worse, come to me on this side.
Yes.
And where's the line, Philbert?
In the middle, just cutting these 2 segments into 2 groups.
So I am standing on the middle.
Yes. All right, so we have the future is getting worse, right? And these we have the better. Now, the other part of it is, do you have capacity to influence this future? Do you have capacity to influence? Do you feel powerful? If we are looking at youth participation in 2050, do you feel like you have enough tools, enough capacity, or power to influence those changes? And so, even in the worst people, there are people who will be, it is getting worse, and you have no power.
Yes.
Okay? You have no power to do anything about it. But you might feel it is getting worse, but you think, I might be the president, right? So you push here and think of 2050. You are no longer a youth in 2050, right? So this is your future of even past youth. So if you're on this side, it is getting worse, but you have influence. Sasa, then we come to those who feel it is getting better. Mwelewi? Oh, this is worse. Yes.
There's something I can do, nibadilishe hayo matatizo. Sijui kama umeelewa, wanatakana waende upande wewe. Mnaweza kubadilisha.
It is not permanent. Unaweza amua wewe, unaona it is worse but I can improve something.
Yes, kwamba yani hata liwele, yani piga ua garagara tufanye nini, amna, yani there's nothing I can do kubadilisha huo ubaya. Yule ambao anaona kwamba mimi pale nimefika ndugu yangu, hata paweje, yani hapa nilipo, mimi mlala hoi, nina shida nyingi siwezi fanya chochote. Wasiwashawishi hawa, msikubali. Nikuelewa. Jamani, tumesema jamani, kila mtu ana maoni yake. Hawa wanasema kwamba hali ni mbaya, lakini liwe liwalo, tutapambana nao. Mabwana amesema asie pale nilipo, sina hizo nguvu. Alafu hapa kuna kina nani Sara? Sara nani wako hapa? Wana matumaini kwamba mambo mazuri. Kwa hiyo
we divide them into you see it is getting better, but you might not have ability to influence. Unaweza ona bado sitaweza. So wewe uko
okay.
Nyinyi mko. You feel you will be powerful and able to influence that.
Na nyie ni kina nani? Nyie hamjielewi. Yani okay, kwamba nataki kukaa na hawa. Sasa tuna makundi matatu.
Yeah.
Je, ni wewe maisha yamekushinda? Ama unaongeza tu, yani angalau wao wasijione wapweke kwamba ya baadaye wasaidieni jamani wale ambao hawana uwezo kwamba wawe wengi, wajua wako wawili wenye.
Yeah, and the reason of doing this is to make one point, is that we all see the future differently, right? This shows you that people see it differently, and there is a lot of factors of why you see it differently. Be it age, be it experience, people you meet, kind of things you interact with in your life will impact this. And so intentions here is not to predict the future, but to ensure that you think of the future in a lot of ways. There are so many ways. One of the things that I see a lot is when you ask someone about the future, one of the most common things that are mentioned is that technology is, these are technological utopia. You know those? Where technology solves your medical problems, solves your education problems, solves every bit of your problems. But that's not the only future that is possible. So I'm going to ask you guys, for this group that you feel getting worse, but you have power to influence, how do we make sure that the future you want actually does get better? Because you have capacity. You are saying you see possibility of you being to influence that future. So why does it get worse? And for these people who feel they have power, feel they have a better future, it's an ego check. Mostly more like making sure that they also hear what other people's future are about, because there are different versions of the future that can happen, all right? We have people who feel the future is getting better, but they have no influence. So how do we capacity build these people? How do we make them feel that they have ability to influence their future? Okay, so there is this last group of people who the future is getting worse and they have no capacity. What do we do? What do we do? And these are the people we engage a lot in foresights. You show them those possibilities. And also let them also, as we have capacity build more people who are thinking about future, you want these people to engage with them more. Because I think part of it is, the hope is not there, all right? They don't see themselves being able to influence, and they don't see a better future. So we want these people, even these people, to interact with this group much more, all right? To ensure that we don't have people who don't have any capacity or ability to influence their future, okay? And so we are going into group work.
How about as we are seated, we seek an opinion of each and every one of the representatives, and then we will have our speakers come on, because we have to start preparing into the next session, which is on electoral reforms, meaning that we can actually combine the two conversations. So I would suggest that we have feedback from the participants, where they tell us what does that future look like, and what are those hamperings that are causing whatever problem is, and what does that affect the future. And then we can bring our speakers, because it's very important that, fine, we are thinking about all these things, but what does that future look like from an expert's perspective? So we can have this mic moving, and you can ask the questions as we prepare our speakers to get ready to come and just engage with those questions that come from our participants today. So go on, Philbert.
Okay. Okay. I think from this group, we would want to know the kind of challenges you think are hampering youth participation, actually. Because you have capacity to influence, but you think it is still not get better. Why? Why that feeling?
Okay.
Yes.
What is stopping us from engaging? Yeah? We'll hear from two.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bridget Nyambeka from AYLF KC University. And I think the main reason I think our future is getting worse, but we have a way to change. Personally, looking at our current youth today, there's a lot of ignorance among our youths. Let's say if you go take a poll right now, ask people what you know about public participation, what you know about the Constitution, people will be clueless because the civic education, which is supposed to be happening, is not happening as it should. Funds are being set aside for civic education, but the people in charge are not doing their duties. But our future can get better if the youth we have today, the youth who are here now, are able to get informed and teach the fellow youth on how to make the reforms. Because let me focus on public participation. If before a bill is passed or anything, there's supposed to be public participation in here. Kila mtu like go gives the opinion, like you discuss. But what do you see happening? The document is given late, it's bulky, and most youth they're more incited to just go and sign. Na wanalipwa pesa. They don't know what they're going to sign. Wanapeleka tu jina, signature na ID. But they don't know what they are passing. So we need more people to be able to explain to these youths what the bill is about, why they're signing it, and what it will impact if it passes or it doesn't pass. So I think we have the power to change our future. Things are not okay, but we have the power to change our future. Thank you.
That's very optimistic. We have the power to shape the future. Now we'll hear from you before we can have our speakers come on. Mr. Mboro, I see you. Even Paul, I see you. Please be ready. We will get your feedback on this too, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. My name is Dennis Huria from Bunge Mashinani School of Governance. I'm from Kiambu County, Kikuyu Ward. And for me, I'd say as an example, I was in that lot. Because I was at a point whereby I'd completely lost hope of our governance system. But since I joined Bunge Mashinani School of Governance, I was more educated and I came to realize actually there's something that we can do. We do have a voice. So that's why for me, I think we as the youth have to actually get involved in public participation, to actually get involved in governance, knowing what our rights are, knowing what we should do. And I think I really agree with my colleague here that civic education is important to people. For me, my friends, I'd say right now they see me as a god, in quotes, because now I'm more educated. And I go to them and talk to them and tell them new things and things that are happening. They are like, okay, wow, this is what's happening. Yeah, so I think first of all, there's lack of information. Second of all, I think our political leaders misuse our youth. They corrupt them. And when they are actually in the offices, the youth who do not have the knowledge of how to reach their leaders, they completely lose hope and they feel heartbroken. Thank you.
So much. That we have felt. Thank you, but at least you're still looking very optimistic. I would like to invite Mr. Mboro to react to those particular questions, but please allow us to see a positive future. It's not looking very good right now, but based on this, do we have a good future, or is it all bleak, or is it all hopeless? And please introduce yourself as well.
Hi, young people. Yes, my name is Mike Mboro. I'm from Bunge Mashinani School of Governance. I'm the director. And so I relate with what Dennis is talking about. This group here represents the future of this country. People who appreciate that indeed things are not okay, but as young people, we have a responsibility to bring hope into this country. And I always want to say, when I'm in front of young people, remember that youth is a transition. There is a time, quite a number of years ago, when your parents were sitting where you are sitting as young people, as a youth of that time. There is a time you're not going to be sitting here as youth, but you'll be somebody's parents. And those youths are the ones who are going to be sitting having this conversation. So we must be very intentional as young people. Remember, each and every generation in Kenya has its own struggle. Your grandfathers, when they were young people, their calling was to fight for the independence of this country. And they rose up to the occasion, and they gave you a country that has liberty. Your parents at your age were having a struggle for multi-party democracy, where they were fighting for the repeal of Section 2A to make the country a multi-party democracy. They rose to the occasion, and they fought for a new constitution, and that is why we are seated here discussing about the issues we are discussing here. So now the big question then is, you are the young people of this time. You are called upon to rise to the occasion to give new impetus to governance in this country. And especially the gains that we acquired when our parents gave us a new constitution that gives a lot of premiums on public participation, on civic engagement, on the role of citizens in development. It has put us at the center of development. But for us, we just look at Article 1 of the Constitution that says all power belongs to the people of Kenya, just like a sentence in that Constitution. But it is upon you, the young people of today, and you will not be the young people of tomorrow. Now you are the young people of today to actualize that Article 1 of the Constitution. Sarah has asked a question here that was very interesting. That if we were to hold an election next year, how many of you would vote? I have seen probably half of you saying that you will vote. I will put another question in follow-up to that. If elections were next year, how many of you would be candidates here? You see? So I have counted 4 hands. So we are very eager. We want to see change. But we are waiting for somebody else to bring that change. We are waiting for angels to come from heaven and come here and become candidates, and we elect them. So who says that you are only supposed to vote? If you people believe that indeed the future is bright, this particular group here, then I would have expected all of you to raise your hands up that you'll be candidates for the next election, influence decisions. That will be for your good and for the good of your children. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We've had the challenges. You've had the push of personal initiative as young people. And so I'm coming to this group that really sees a positive future. What actions are you taking at a personal level? Or what is your personal experience in terms of public participation and steps you are taking to ensure even more young people are engaging in electoral reforms and electoral processes and participation in general?
Somebody wants to go first?
Hi everyone. As I said earlier, my name is Lynn Karanja from Bunge Mashinani School of Governance. The reason why we are seated on this side, on the bright side of the future, it's because on our end, we are taking the initiative of trying to create that awareness of 1% of civic education. We are the people who are trying to push that in our respective counties, for example, in Kiambu, because we realized that, yes, we are attending this public participation, but unfortunately, we are finding these bulky documents. Recently, we had a CFSP, but I can tell you guys, it is so sad because most people don't know what is going on. Yes, we attended, but most people never gave their attributes. So we are on this side because we want to push that agenda, and we are going to rest when it is going to be passed.
Thank you so much. My name is James from Power 254. I think we are seeing the brighter future for us because every time when we are not pointing so much, but we are pointing into us. You see, when I point at you, the 3 fingers point at me. So for us, we are not, in many circumstances, looking at the duty bearers so much, but we are looking on ourselves. What are we doing so that we can be able to create the change that we want? Because many times we are looking at other people, what they can do, but we are not looking at ourselves, what we can do. If I may ask, many of the young people, especially the young people who are here, we say that we want to participate in the public participation event, but when we go there, the things that we ask is, kuna nini? Kuna kakitu, true? Every time we go there, we ask kama kuna kakitu. If there is no money, then we don't participate. So if we want to see a positive change, we have to start asking, what can we do ourselves? Because the changes start with us. And that's why we say that the future is us who are very, very optimistic as young people. Thank you.
The future belongs to those who are optimistic. Then we'll hear from you. Please introduce yourself as well by your county.
By my county. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wanji Kondongo from Kiambu County. I'm also representing Bunge Mashinani School of Governance, and I believe the future is bright. One reason is even the Bible says people perish for lack of knowledge. We are here today. We are learning these things, and because of organizations such as Bunge Mashinani and even Twaweza, we are able to put this information out there so that people get to know them. They have a role in bringing these changes to whatever change you want. It has to begin with you, just as he has said. So I believe it is very bright because we are here today, beginning with just us guys. We are ambassadors of change in wherever that we are coming from. And if you don't believe that the future is bright and you're here, it means you're not going to take that initiative to change things and to educate other people about whatever you're getting to learn here. So let's take this initiative on ourselves. Let's own the change ourselves and begin with the very simple and small steps that you can be able to make from your families, from your friends, because people don't participate in these things because they have no idea whatever they have to say can change anything. They do not know the role they play by participating in public participation. So let us be the ambassadors for change. Thank you.
It's a lovely way to end there. Let us be ambassadors of change. And that is to each and every one of us. So I am advised that we need to hear from somebody who thinks the future has nothing at all. It all looks dark. Ile pitch dark. Yeah? Yes, can we hear from you, please? Give us the contrast. We hear a very, very positive picture there, but would you give us the other side of the story? And then that will we'll combine that with what our speakers have to say. And unfortunately, we are being told to wrap up, so please also bear with us.
Okay, so everyone has talked, but there are some key things that I haven't heard anyone mention, and without mentioning those. So habari yenu. The future is very, very dark. It's dark right now. It will get darker in the future. And no, it's true. We must be honest. If we really want this change, kitu moja lazima tukue ni honest. Kwa hao watu wote, everyone who has said the youth should come up and start going for governance and, going for these political seats to change. The truth of the matter is that people are going for these seats for their own personal interest, for the interest of their families, for the interest of their watu wao. The fact of the matter is, until the time where we'll have an ideology, a solid ideology, hata kama si a Marxist ideology, at least a nationalist ideology, where every citizen of the country believes in something, believes in the country, believes in themselves as the country. Until tufike hapo, I think, ni stories ajaba.
Safari inakaa ndefu, lakini I think that's the reason why we are here. I want us to hear something positive, angalau, to neutralize your situation, because it's looking very bad. And then we'll come to you. Then after you, we will hear from our speakers, tafadhali, because we have to start wrapping up.
Hi, everyone. God is good and all the time. Yes, my name is Maswai Rimo. I am a student from Kiambu National Polytechnic and also a human rights defender from the social justice movement. And I'm much humbled to stand in front of you. And I would like to tell you that information is power. And for this, you should know that we are the agents of change. And as I'm standing before you, I am a youth advocate from the She Leads United Nations Youth Cohort. And I represent the urban region. My colleague, she's at Kisumu. So you can see we are not really bad globally. And for that, we do have international conferences that usually happen quarterly of the year. And as we are speaking today, we have the conference that is going on at New York, Commission on Status of Women. And us, as the youth advocates, we have some of the recommendations that we have made to the key stakeholders and some of the governments that we have. Based on the topics, access to essential services, sustainable infrastructure, environment plus climate change, and political participation. So, remember, if change is to start, it is to start with us. So, my fellow youths, whatever you think it is right, don't keep quiet. Work for it, fight for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's really amazing. And as we are going to our speakers, we get maybe one or more two comments.
Thank you so much. Sometimes you need to grab the mic to be able to be heard. But thank you. Yes, I want to pick it from you. Ni vizuri umeongea, umesema ya kwamba most of the time young people do not participate in public participation. And swali wanauliza ni kuna kakitu. Have you ever asked yourself why wanauliza hiyo swali? Because that is why, that brings me to the point of where I think the future is darker and much darker. Because until we go to the root causes and get to understand the challenges hindering young people from participating in public participation and try to address them, we will continue complaining that young people are not participating in these processes. Because that is the question, that is something that we need to be able to unearth and try to be able to address. Secondly, with this current regime, where you cannot even exercise your right as enshrined in Article 37, our right as enshrined in Article 36, hatuwezi hata assemble hivi, igava itaki to assemble. Na sisi kama Kariobangi social justice, imagine doing a community activity, serikali inataka uombe ruhusa, uombe usies ruhusa, ama you. So that in itself make me think that the future look darker. And until we rise to the occasion as young people and try to be able to address zile challenges in affect young people, because as much as we talk about public participation, only a few of us participate because we know, we're informed, we are educated. But how is a young person ambaye pale ako pale Mathare ama kukule nyumbani anataka kuparticipate kwa public participation when this public participation ni selective? Only a few people, unapata youth leader pale fulani, and they are organized in a way that politicians have framed the agenda to be able to part at the end of the day. So the question we need to be able to ask, and moving forward, start having a discussion. How do we enhance and increase youth participation in public participation? How do we make young people understand the importance of public participation? And what is the importance of that public participation? Because mtu atakuuliza, hata mama mboga atakuuliza, kwa nini niwache biashara yangu niende town kuparticipate kwa public participation, nikirudi mtoto wangu anataka kukula. So until we address, so the question we need, the key issues we need to be talking about, how do we make public participation effective? So that ule hata kama ni mama mboga pale kwa ile kibanda yake anaweza participate. For a good example ni kama Nairobi. Public participation inafanywa under 17 sub-counties rather than kuzifanya kwa ward. So mtu wa Kariobangi anatoka naenda all the way to Dandora. So these are the challenges. We need to be able to look at the challenges hindering effective public participation and try to address them. At the same time, look at what actually, how do we increase the participation of young people so that we can talk about the brighter future. Unless hiyo tutazidi tu kuongea na mambo kwa ground vitu ni different.
Kidogo tu nipite hapa. Oza. Rada. Buda. Wacha ni kama hapa. Namaliza tu. Ule ni angry, hata si mheshimiwa. Ni angry tu wa kawaida. Sasa nishasikia mama. Sasa si ati hata tufanye nini? Kitu ya kwanza tuifanye practical, si ndio? Hapa kuna mbogi ya Kayole. Hapa kuna mbogi ya Kayole. What does that tell you? Hiyo imetosha tu kukuambia. Mimi ndio ule mse nimetoka Oyole. Wewe ni wapi? Mukuru. Uko wewe na watu wangapi? Mko watu 5. Mukuru kuna mayouth wangapi? Sikuna mbogi si mbogi. Until tumekizi vitu zifikie mbogi yenye waga iko mtaani. Tuachane na hii biashara ya kuleta hizi vitu mahali kama Nairobi University, mahali sina hata fare ya kukam. Mani understand? Kwanza kabisa, mimi ni msanii naitwa Kaploti mwenyewe. Ndio maana mimi nimeweza tu kutoka na huko nikakuja area. Kwa sababu mimi nina jirada. Boy wangu wa mtaani mwenye hata hana kakitu hezi jirada, hana masaa ya kufika hapa na yeye mwenye anatapika maji saa hiyo. Usidanganye. Atenda kupiga mboka yake ama atakama hapa. Na ilali mnalia tujitume. Unajituma na wewe mwenye umetumwa. Umenipata? So, hawa viongozi wetu, hebu jaribini hizi vitu zifike. Vile mnasema tu bunge mashinani. Wacha ifike bunge mashinani. Isikuwe ni bunge la mwananchi pale Jakaranda. Ase wako na agenda. You understand? Turudi area. Imbogi iko hapa. Imbogi iko hapa. Mtanisamea. Si ati na wajaja manini. Imbogi kikatiwa keki. Biashara imeisha. Ni uongo ama ni ukweli? Wako hapa tu juu. Hakuna vile hapa. Umenipata? Atasimama aseme mimi na champion kwa mavijana, mimi napigania mavijana. Akikatiwa keki mzee anaruka kwa system. Anawaambia kazeni majamaa je mfike hii area. Umenipata? So nakubaliana na ndugu. Kenya Power washafanya ile kitu. Ni kudark mbaya. Future ni dark. Umenipata? Da. Unasema ati tukifika mtani tunakwambia ukate keki. Kitu ya kwanza buda umekam, ile gari unapeleka inakula mafuta ya ngiri 10. Alafu unaniambia nikae nikusikize ati mimi nikule kipindi yako. Hiyo ndio ile ukweli nakupatia vile iko kutoka mtani. Mimi sitaki kuishuga coat. Umenipata? Ile dinga nakimbia nayo mimi naioneanga view sasa. Alafu unarudi unaniambia ati sikiza alafu ujitume. Buda ndakushika mashati za macho utaniachia. Umenipata? Juu hapa hao unasema ni mayouth. Kuna watu hapa wako na watoi tusidanganyane. Youth na niko na mtoi, juu lazima shughuli yangu ikamilike. So ukijua mtoi wangu nikifika kejani ataanza kuniambia ati sijui umetoka kupatiwa civic education. Yeye atambua education na anatambua kiroma kwa meza. So tuambiane ukweli, tuache kudanganyana, tuache kuweka vitu chini ya carpet.
Yeah.
Naitwa Kaploti mwenye anataka kunifollow social media yote, naitwa Kaploti mwenyewe.
Wow, that's a good way to introduce our speaker. Atuambie story. Why don't we hold on to that thought, tafadhali? Because the next session we're going to be talking about the election reforms. So hizi vitu zote zenye tunaongea hapa tutaziongelezaje na ziweze kuingia kwa systems za electoral reforms. But before we get to that conversation, please hold on to that thought. Acha tusikie one of our speakers anasema nini. Anza kutusaidia kufikiria about the future. So what do we need to do today to make sure future yetu ya public participation ya engage in electoral system iko even better? Okay.
Thank you very much. Nimefurahia sana na hii conversation inaendelea hapa. Nimefurahia sana na venye mavijana wameji-express, and I really respect that, and going forward I can see the energy and the zeal. I can also see the pessimism in us, na pia tungependa kwamba when we get out of here, let us get out of here with hope that we are going to change this country. Just a short story about me and how I got to join a political party and the many gains I've made in those in the political party na tukaweza kusonga mbele. This thing is not easy. Leo hii watu wakiangalia hizi chama zote na zimejipanga hapa, by the way, zimejipanga hapa zote hizi chama zote. Now, me I grew in the slums somewhere called Kiambio. Nikatoka Kiambio bado tukaenda kwa slum ingine iko within Isili. And then somewhere when I was around 18, 19 years, a miracle happened. Nikajipata Hall 9. Hall 9 iko nyuma ya hii building na hapo kuna mahali panaitwa Hall 9. So when I was in Hall 9 tulikuwa na some a little bit privilege. Of course kwa slum kuoga ni shida. Unaoga leo kesho una scout kwa sababu hiyo maji lazima mnanunua, so lazima uibudgetie. Hapa tulikuwa tunaoga daily, maji ni running. And the rest after 4 years nikajiuliza tunarudi mtaani. Ile shida ya mtaani na nini, usipopata job unarudi kwa slum. Lakini kulikuwa na mali tulikuwa na hangout tuko Chiromo, palikuwa inaitwa Yellow Spot. During our time it was called Yellow Spot. Tukakaa hivi chini tukajiuliza what is happening. Na hizi shida zote ziko kwa hizi inchi and the rest. We were 3 guys. Mmoja alikuwa mdogo kidogo hapa, alikuwa anaitwa Lewis Maganga. Alikuwa na rafiki yake mwingine anaitwa Paul Victor from Tuke University. Na rafiki yetu mwingine hapo. We decided tukaanalyze hizi vitu na tukadecide ndio chama inatufaa. A political party called CPK. Nini saizi na CPK, it used to call itself the Social Democratic Party. Tuka Google tukapata kwamba hata wana ofisi ilikuwa imeandikwa hapa Monrovia. Tukachunguza hii chama vizuri mpaka siku moja tukapata mtu wao mmoja. Tukasema jo Wachira ni aje tunakam. Tukaenda tukapata na Secretary General wa chama. Hii si story daba ama nini, and I'm not even creating this story kwa interesting. This story has been shared all over. Na wala ananijua from the social justice movement can tell. We went to this political party, we found the political party without a youth league. Aina youth league, chama ina youth league. Chama aina nafasi ya vijana, in short. It never had a women league. We organized the party. Hapo ndo tukaanza kuorganize the party na tukasukuma. The chair was called Mwandawiro. Tukamwambia we want to take over the youth league. And we took over the youth league. When we joined the youth league, nikakaa mahali kidogo at the periphery kama organizing. Kidogo nikajipata mimi ndo chairman wa the youth league. Na kujipata kwa chairman wa the youth league nikaanza kutumwa mikutano nyingi sana, nikapata hivi nini. Even at a point I was privileged to be sent to a meeting at the AU. Unaona? So no one will come to organize you. Look at it from this perspective. You that you have this knowledge, uko na information yote. Which of this party suits your ideology? Then go to that party and register. Now these parties are public parties. Wako na Political Parties Act na ina-identify kama public parties. Uko na right ya kujua hiyo manifesto, uko na right ya kujua membership ni kina nani na kunaendelea aje, mikutano zao zinafanyika aje. Wakukunyima hiyo nafasi, uko na right ya kwenda kwa register of political parties. Na useme mimi nataka kujoin hii chama lakini wameninyima on this basis. Is it right? Register of political parties siko tini, ni kubarika kuandika tu na unapeleka pale Waliama wako mali hapa Westlands. Then you engage from there. Look at these parties and create those spaces. But then, if you fear joining a political party, organizing by yourself, you will be criminalized. You will be victimized. Na itakuwa ngumu sana. Niambie wewe mtu mmoja, unaenda kuambia chief, masuala ya maji hapa. Atio, unajua maji hapa Isilia kunanga maji kwa sababu ya nini? Hizi makampuni za kutengeneza borehole. Unajua ploti Isilia zinajengwa kila siku. Makampuni za kutengeneza borehole, sasa zinaongea na Kanjo wanazima maji because Isilia imeshikana na kambi ya jeshi. Kambi ya jeshi haikosa maji. Lakini Isilia kuna maji. Because hizo kampuni zinataka kila mtu ajenge borehole ya maji. So ploti inajengwa na borehole ya maji inajengwa, wanaharibu barabara, lakini nchi inaendelea. Try to organize that by yourself. But if you create a lobby ya watu wawili watatu, and if you can't convince 2 more people to join in your initiative, then rethink your course. You don't need many people, 2 or 3. Then unasema bwana chief, sisi kazi yetu tu ni kulobi masuala ya maji. Hizi borehole zikichimba hizi maji zinaharibu barabara, zinakuwa hivi ni makelele and the rest. Zinachimba hizi barabara bila hata approval ya county, approval ya watu wa roads na nini inakuwa shida. Na pia masuala ya maji yapatikani. Then you will be labeled another name. Wale watu wanapiganga makelele juu ya maji, which is more advantageous kwa sababu pia kuna kitu inaitwa fatigue inakuchapa kwa hii safari ya kuorganize. Utachoka hapa katikati kama organize na mtu, ndio maana utaanza kusema unakuwa more pessimist and hivyo. So kitu ya kwanza lazima tuangalie, join a lobby group or create one. Hiyo lazima ufanye moving forward, which one suits your interest, and then you look at this country na unaangalia hivi ndio tunafanya. Let me tell you, if there were people who to cry that organizing in this country was difficult. Kama kuna kwa watu wangekuwa pessimist, ni wanawake wangekuwa wamekaa nje hii upande. But the women of this country are winning. They are, even though the winning is slow, we cannot see it, but they are winning. Juzi president ameona ameko kwa kona, is politically fading, akasema hata running mate anafaa kuwa mwanamke. I think all the governors watasukuma by 2027, and that's a plus. Itakuja mpaka ifike sasa, hii 2/3 lazima itapatikana. And the women of this country mali walikuwa kitambo, mpaka saizi, haijakuwa rahisi. Walikuwa marginalized culturally, nini, all those zieke kando mali pamoja. But they are winning. The youth can also win today. If you leave this space, na mseme nyinyi mnatengeneza lobby group ya hii, na mseme kwanza kitu ya kwanza ni youth participation. All the political parties that don't have a particular percentage of youth should be deregistered. Na mnaenda kwa registrar of political parties mnaitisha data. Na mna lobby to around that. All the political parties without 30% of youth or 70, kwa sababu nindo majority, create the percentage in your, alafu wataleta negotiations. Then you'll start lobbying on these other platforms. Because saizi mko na avenue chache. Kama saizi kuna article 55 of the constitution. It has around 4 clauses, A, B, C, D. But hizo zote tu, you pick an element, you twist it and say, we are lobbying for this. You win against that, you go to the next item. You win against that, you go to the next item. And ni jani itakuwa consistent. Let me tell you, all this you'll be winning. Sure. These young parliamentarians wenye wako hapa saizi na nini, you create with them a platform. And you fix them. Mnasema kama ndugu wanaweza organizea media kidogo, mnaita mkutano na mnawafix. Amtasema ni nyinyi ni young parliamentarians and you are not pushing issues related to the youths. Tunaona kwamba nyinyi ni vijana, lakini pale ndani kuna kitu inaitwa state capture. You are serving the interest of the executive badala ya kuserve the interest ya wananchi. Now these are the issues you people we want you to address. Education is becoming expensive for the youth, and an ignorant population is of no benefit. Tunataka kwamba masomo pia iangaliwe masuala yake. Uchumi kipanda ni vijana wanaumia the most. And I tell you, this will be the strongest lobby group that we shall ever have in this country. Kwa hivyo tusonge mbele with positivity. Tuko na instrument ya constitution. Lakini mkizidi kuzubaa hivi vile tunazidi kuzubaa, the parliament meets every week mara mbili. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hizo siku, what do? Si tu ni mtu kukaa na kutengeneza sheria nyingine kuangalia kwamba Bib atakuja kunisumbua hapa Embakasi North. Sheria gani inaweza gandamiza vijana? Sasa lazima mkue rada. Hii force inakuwa norma that the things touching on the youth should not be changed but rather improved. Hizi resources zenye zinakuja, let them be more devolved. Youth fund. Na kuna pia organization moja ilikuja hapa tukaiachilia tu. National Youth Council. When it came during our time, kwa sababu sisi ndio tulikuwa wale viongozi wa kwanza, mimi nilikuwa na represent Kamkunji. It was so hot. Ufungamano could not contain us. Siku hizi hata the new director wa National Youth Council, we don't care about. That's a very positive space mnaweza chukua. Iko na resources zenye zinafandiwa na serikali, inatambulika legally. You can organize. Leo hii, I ask you, nani anajua chairman wa National Youth Council? Roy Saka alitoka. Sasa nani amechukua from there? These are things you should need to understand. If you get a lobby group nzuri sana, let me tell you, even the minister or the CS in charge of youth affairs will not stop listening to your issues, and you'll change this country. Asante.
Yeah, it's hard, as you have heard, it's really hard to be a young person, but it's even harder to be a young person and also a PWD. So, with all these problems that we have seen, there seems to be some hope. We want a better future. So let's give him a chance to share with us what kind of participation for PWDs and how can we contribute to ensure that they are engaging as such.
Okay, thank you very much. Nanisikia? My name is Paul Mugi. Okay, sorry. Okay, my name is Paul Muge. The speaker before me spoke most, and this is something I wanted to ask. I just want us to have a little game. It's just going to take few seconds. Who knows the life expectancy in Kenya? The life expectancy in Kenya.
50.
Okay, we are going to take 70. I need you to take 70 minus your age. Yes, just keep it in your mind. That is the average years you have remaining. So if you're 67, you technically have 3 years to die. Or if you're 57, you technically have those amount of years so that you can leave Kenya and the world in general. And this is something I've also seen. Nimesikia kila mtu akicomplain kuhusu the youth, the youth, the youth. I'm also a youth. I'm also in PWDs. And you'll find many people, we will complain. Complaining, it's okay. But now the thing is solutions. And the first solution, me nambianga kila watu, be self-aware. Be self-aware, it's knowing that's why I've said, take the life expectancy minus your age. That is self-aware. So you have to know how many, you have to know your role. We are now, there's this lady, alikuwa amekaa hapo, alikuwa amesema kuhusu social media. But now I'm going to ask you, who follows any political party in social media? Any political party? Or even, let's look at it better. Who follows NTV, Citizen, KTN, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok? Who follows them? Wow, that's a few ones. And you find they're already there. They have like 1 million, 2 million followers. So it is us being self-aware. The way we are always self-aware about Nairobi gossip. Okay, skia Nairobi gossip, someone has done this, someone. You'll find everyone knows about it, especially the youth. So that is how I want the youth to be self-aware about these things. Because hata ukiangalia hivi, we are now complaining that the people who are there, who are in the parliament, the people who are also MCA, they do not represent much of the youth. But ukiangalia, how old was Mr. Jomo Kenyatta when he started fighting for independence? Or how long were these people who are right now in parliament, how long did they start engaging in politics? They started at a very young age. But since because they've seen that most of us aren't self-aware, wanaendeleza, they can stay 20 years, 30 years until they die. And after they die, who is going to take over? We do not know. So that is one thing I always encourage people to do. Be self-aware. Follow these people on social media. And also, yes, we are encouraging on the principle of mentorship from the old to the young. And that is something I'm also working on. I work at Ideal Law, and most of the time it's always about researching. I always tell the youth, also know your constitution, know your rights. You can make a bill anytime you want. Ni kwenda tu kwa MP wenyu, kwenda kwa MCA wenyu. Unamwambia, yo, mimi niko na hii bill. Tuone vile tunaweza itengeneza. In fact, that's also another question. Do you know where your MP stays? Like, unajua penye anakaa tu hapo ofisi yake, and you know the visiting hours. Let's know, and you go there. You see, who else? By show of hands. So that is one thing I'm saying. If on top of looking all the challenges, in which, yes, we can find as much as we can, try to find a solution to the challenge as a youth. Because in the end, it is us youth who will rule, and then our children will become youth. Tena sasa pia wao wataendeleza. We are not going to stay in the world forever. So it is now time for us to take up our responsibility. Thank you very much.
Let's appreciate him. Thank you so much, my brother. I think it is on that note that we would want to bring this session to a close. But remember, the take home from this session is to organize. We are working with a government that is organized to the core, from the national all the way kwa sub-county ama kwa ward, sindio? So let us organize ourselves as young people in our spaces so that we are able to engage government and make our country a better place. So it is at that point that I would like to welcome the next session, which is on electoral reforms, and I would like to invite Marcus to just take it over from there. Thank you, my brother.
Let's clap for Michael, please. I know tumechoka. Could we just rise, just for a second? Can we all be up standing? Please, but don't go away. Don't go away. Don't go away, just for a minute. So now I want to welcome you to this conversation regarding electoral reforms. So as we stand, I just want to ask a question. How many of you have participated in elections, whether in where you are studying or in our country as Kenya? By a show of hands. Good. How many of you have participated as voters in election? As voters? How many of you have participated as observers? Good. So you know something about our elections. And so from the things you are able to see, from the processes that you're engaging in, do you think that there are things that must be done to change how we do things? Do you believe that there are things that we need to do differently? Do you think so? Yes or no? Yes. Good. So that is what we want to discuss now. And in our panel, we have Joyce Majiwa, who is a senior counsel, but also a member of the Elections Observation Group. We also have Felix Owuor, who is the Executive Director for Electoral Law and Governance Institute of Africa. He's also present, and we also have IBC represented in the meeting. So will you please be seated, and I would like to invite Joyce Majiwa to start us off in the conversation. Karibu, Joyce. You want to sit or stand?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, fellow citizens. Okay, I know I look like your moms, and I may well be, but at one point I was like you, and I started my activism when I was like this girl here. So it doesn't matter. The best time to start activism is now. It's 20 years ago. It's now for you guys, but the next best for me is now, if I have not already started. So my name is Joyce Majiwa. I'm going to talk briefly about reforms. I had written a long list of reforms, but since I see that many of you are already in this field, you yourselves know the reforms.